Well, today marks World Water Day, and throughout our programming, CNBC Africa will be unpacking issues pertaining to sustainable water management. South Africa is said to have the most progressive water policies globally, but is failing to implement them adequately. Harold Smook, who's founder of Urban Roots, joins us now for more discussion on this. Harold, thanks so much for joining us on the line this morning. As I've just said, we boast amongst the most progressive policies in the world, but it seems that it's doing little in our favor in terms of looking at water accessibility and availability of that water resource to South African citizens at large.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for the time. South Africa at the moment, according to Development Bank, we're still struggling with providing water to everyone. At the moment, there's still about 10% of our population is without access to clean water. But you must also remember, water is not just used for drinking purposes and sanitation. It's also for food production, energy production, and when you get in a constrained environment like South African water supply, we get negative trade-offs between what we use. Do we use water for energy production? Do we use it for food production? So there's significant trade-offs. Pertaining to your question, in terms of our laws and legislation, and our policies, the Human Science Research Council found that only 0.4% of managers in government has the necessary skills to fulfill their task. So that's one of our major problems. The second problem is our budget deficit. Over the next 10 years, we require about 670 billion to secure water, to be able to reach our water security aspirations. Yet we've only budgeted for 332 billion. So there's quite a bit of money, and that we require to get to what we to water security. Enough water for sanitation and for drinking water, enough water for
Harold, so that's where we stand right now. Of course, you've highlighted some of the challenges that we're faced with in terms of needing to get to where we need to be. What are some of the solutions that are actually being put on the table? Because it seems that having progressive policy is not a solution enough.
Look, in terms of our green and blue drop, I think that was a very good initiative for local municipalities to start performing better. And I think, if you look at last year's results, we are in terms of local government starting to perform better in certain places. But other places is where they've got a really poor performance in terms of the blue and green drop. Also, the National Development Plan by the Minister of Presidency Trevor Manuel, that's been adopted by government at the moment is very, it's a very good initiative. But yet again, we come back to the situation where we need people and money to do that. Who's doing that? So it's all very well that we're trying to do these great aspirations to what we want to achieve, but we need to start implementing. We need to start seeing change. We need to start seeing the move towards the green economy, production, research, development of the green economy. And I think that's very important for us to start implementing.
Harold, what role do you see the various stakeholders playing here? Because, as you say, government working with very limited resources, what onus is placed on business to start stepping up, specifically in a context where we've had already water resources having been allocated and water licenses being expropriated from farmers to provide water for sectors like that of mining and energy as well?
Sorry, just repeat that question.
Just the role of the various stakeholders as you see it, because you've highlighted the fact that government is working with very strained resources.
Yes.
What onus needs to be placed on business in order for them to step up and play too?
Sure. I think business need to start looking at their water efficiency or how they use water. We've seen, for instance, one of the initiatives or one thing that they can do is the water footprint for production. See how much water they actually use to produce goods, to produce food, to produce energy, and set a benchmark and see how they can perform better. Evaluate themselves, or in industries that need to evaluate themselves and start being more efficient in their water use, or start thinking of more creative ways to use water, or cut certain parts of production, using different technologies, not water-intensive technologies to actually produce goods.